Oh man, so we've got Phantom down 2% today as Luna, yes, Terra Luna, falls 4.5%. We're going to cover off the key levels in the charts for both these protocols as we try to understand what is going on in this market as Bitcoin has a volatile day. It's currently sitting flat on the day after initially losing the 43,000 level, falling as low as 42,700. Then it seemed to have created a bounce, but now we're heading back down again. What's happening? Are we going to lose this critical level? And if so, what does it mean for alts? We're going to cover that and a bunch more. We're also going to be talking about Luna and what Do Kwon has just done in terms of creating a new partnership almost with Avalanche. So let's cover that off because I've got some interesting thoughts on what's going on there. Some positive, some not so positive. So you're going to want to hear what I've got to say about that. Sit back, hit up the like button, subscribe. We've got a jam-packed episode today. If you like my perspectives, as always, consider joining the course member lives. Ijaz.uk/member will give you access to our course member live streams. Yes, we meet 3 times a week at least with our course members to speak about the markets, talk about my psychology, talk about my perspectives on where I think the market is heading. We do tokenomics, we can do TA on your favorite coins, and a whole bunch more. So consider joining there. But now let's get straight into the charts because here, Bitcoin, let's look at Bitcoin first, right? So Bitcoin, a couple of times now, has tried to fake below the 43,000 level. Now, remember, if we lose the 43,000 level, things don't look pretty interesting, right? Because we start falling deeper and deeper into this wedge. We're not safe until we break above 44.5. So we've got a long way to go here. But first, we need to hold support. And you can see a big hourly green candle coming in a couple of hours ago, protecting us from losing the 43,000 level mark. But again, it's been followed by 2 red candles. So the bulls and the bears are really fighting it out right now. We had the Jack Mallers announcement at the Bitcoin conference, which is a huge announcement. We cover that off in a video. I'll link that up somewhere for you guys to go watch. Huge announcement, but it hasn't moved the market. And it hasn't moved the market because of the correlation to the markets, that is the stock market, because the stock market is having a red week and it's closing the week red, and the Fed has pretty much spoiled the whole week, right? We've recovered somewhat from my video a couple of hours ago. The Nasdaq at one point was down 1.5%, which is when Bitcoin was losing the 43,000 mark, but now it's sitting 0.31 down on the day. We've even turned slightly green on the Dow Jones, but still the week has turned red on major stocks, and we can see Bitcoin is heavily correlated to that. More about that in my Bitcoin video from a few hours ago, so go check that out if you're more interested to hear about the correlation between Bitcoin and equities. But for now, what's going on with Phantom? Well, with Phantom, you'll remember here I'm on the hourly right now, you'll remember that we entered this wedge, and this was a short-term wedge, which I mentioned that if we break out from this, we are all but confirmed on our larger bearish continuation pattern. So if I switch across to the 4-hourly, this is the bearish continuation pattern, a move here and then extended move to the downside. You can see we're about halfway through to my technical target of about between 90 and 95 cents here on Phantom, which I don't think it's going to get to. Hopefully it doesn't, but it's just the technical target from the measured move. We obviously have to layer in our fundamentals on top. So if the market can sort itself out next week, if Bitcoin can start recovering from 43,000 and start working back above 44,000, then we can nullify this and start heading back to the upside. This scenario will play out if we see Bitcoin start to lose successive levels. If Bitcoin heads to 40,000, loses 40,000, works through the 39s, then Phantom will continue in this direction and start, unfortunately, meeting our price target. But for us, if you've got conviction, this continues to be a great area to be buying the dip, right? If you've got high conviction. Now, if we pull out the 4-hourly EMA ribbon, you can see we're well extended below our EMA ribbon. We are super bearish here, although we have a little bit of consolidation here. You can see this sideways motion here. That's matching the sideways motion we're seeing with Bitcoin at about the 43,000 level. When Bitcoin makes its mind, if Bitcoin wants to bounce at 43 and start heading towards 44, then Phantom has permission to do this. If Bitcoin loses 43, we're going to continue on our way to the downside here on Phantom. Now, let's take a look at our daily, because the daily is where things get ugly. Because a couple of days ago, you'll remember I mentioned that we officially flipped our daily bearish again. And this was not pretty, right? This is exactly what we were worried about. And I'm using this move as reference. Look at this move. Rejected by EMA ribbon, we move to the downside. We consolidate and form a bear flag, get rejected by our EMA ribbon, and carry on with a bigger move to the downside. But what's happened here? What have we just seen happen here? Consolidation, touch our EMA ribbon, and get rejected. This is what makes this worrying. So we're going to need something really powerful from Bitcoin or the wider market to nullify this, get above 165, and then we're out of this mess. Above 165 and we're out of this mess on the daily chart. Now, to add to some of the doom and gloom and just to show you guys what I'm seeing in the charts, because that's what I'm committed to doing, I'm going to get a tidy chart and I'm going to go to the weekly chart. What I'm going to show you on the weekly is we're getting that really big rejection. We've got 2 days and 7 hours left, but this is not looking good, right? In order to prevent this, we need Bitcoin to close at least within, like at least, one... I mean, what's realistic from here in the next 2 days? We're sitting at 131. This doesn't look good. We're getting a big rejection here from the weekly candle. And if we go and post a lower low than the 103 from here, where I was lucky enough to buy the dip on this point here, then we continue to be in a downward trend, right? Because then we start creating this pattern on the weekly. And that is not ideal. So the only way we're going to nullify this is at least if we can start clawing back and start closing closer to 140, 145, 150, then at least this big red candle won't be as big and it won't be engulfing. Because at the moment, this is a bearish engulfing candle. Guys, Google this. This is a big technical indicator, which normally represents a big move to the downside, okay? Now, you see a candle like this, and then the red candle opposing it is bigger in body length than the one previously, saying the bears are in control and could be sending us to the downside. Now, the saving grace for this is that we're looking at the wider market. And if the wider market does come in next week positive or over the weekend positive, then we can see a U-turn on Bitcoin, start working towards 44,500. Then some of our favorite altcoins should start to move in line with that. Now, what is going on with Luna? Literally down 5% today at the time of recording this video, a big red candlestick, and suddenly we start getting to the levels which we've predicted a couple of days ago in my videos. And this is why it's so important, guys, that you don't miss any videos. I'm going to link up the video here on my Luna strategy, because literally a few days ago here, when we were literally on this candle here, we were sitting at 119, and I was getting question after question in my DMs saying, is it too late to enter Luna? Can I buy into Luna? I'm FOMOing. I need to get into Luna. And we're sitting at 119. People wanted to chase the green candles. And in that video, go watch that video. I say, no, we need to start nibbling and we need to look for a fallback to the trend line at about 100. Okay. And I said in the video, we may never reach 100, but you have to start nibbling very gently on the way. And then straight away, you saw the next couple of days, we started seeing lower price points. We saw 107. Yesterday, we saw price points in the 105. And today, we've fallen to 98. So any of those people who had high conviction, where is your high conviction? Because if you had high conviction and if nothing's changed, then you would be purchasing, right? That's the question. So we've fallen back to trend line here on Luna. And again, it's going to be a key thing. Are we going to fall out of trend here on Luna? Or are we going to get the bounce? Part of that is going to depend on what Bitcoin does. Now, some of you may argue that, hang on a second, Luna's been moving contrary to Bitcoin anyway. It's been quite strong in the face of a weak Bitcoin. And if we come on to over to here, you will see, if I have a quick refresh, let's get back to that one and refresh the page here. What you will see is that Luna has been one of the biggest outperformers, right? Up 53.6% over the last 90 days versus Bitcoin being up 8%. So it's been an outperformer. But some things have changed. And the first thing I want to share with you is this. Do Kwon tweeted about TERAVAX, okay? And he talks about the relationship between Terra and Avalanche. And what he says is today, no one can deny that Avalanche is one of the most exciting ecosystems in Web3. Very interesting. And he continues to talk about it. And in essence, what we've also seen is that he started to build his Avalanche reserves. Yes, Terra has bought 200 million in Avalanche tokens, 100 million in AVAX using UST, which obviously means Luna is being burnt, and 100 he's bought on OTC in Luna for the same value in AVAX. Total of 200 million in exposure to Avalanche tokens. Now, this has raised a little bit of a red flag for me. So, when Do Kwon announced that he was going to back Luna with Bitcoin reserves to the extent of 10 billion, everybody agreed that was super genius, right? That was really smart move by Do Kwon. The market rallied behind him. They liked him. He became super popular, and they thought this was a genius move. And it makes sense, right? Because you've got something like a decentralized money in terms of UST, algorithmically backed, and you want to go and back it with the purest of money, right? Bitcoin, the purest of decentralized money, which is Bitcoin. But now he's gone and muddled the waters, because what he's done is he's saying, no, I'm going to back it with some Avalanche. But Avalanche, with all due respect, and I hold some Avalanche, it's a good smart contract platform, is number 10 here in CoinMarketCap. It's a $25 billion project. It's a smaller project than Luna. So to go back it with an altcoin, and not even something like Ethereum, which you can argue is a much bigger platform than Terra Luna, to the extent of 10 times, but something smaller than Luna as an ecosystem. So that gets me wondering, and I don't like the way that's going, because it almost reminds me of how some of the other coins are backed, right? Because initially, when you had Tether, you look at Tether and their backing, they're not one-to-one backed with US dollars, and that causes a concern. If you look at USDC, they say, okay, at least we're backing it towards cash and cash equivalents. But when you start muddling the waters and start backing your reserves with other stuff, where does it stop? Are you going to start putting some other meme coins in there as well? Are you going to like back it with other why didn't you choose Phantom to back it, right? That's a question. It's even smaller market cap than Avalanche. Could have backed it with some Phantom. Would have helped us out, right? But that's one of my questions. Why would he go do that? It kind of muddied the waters. But then it got me thinking. He also posted this about 5-6 hours ago. And he goes, 5 years ago, when I had the idea to create decentralized money for decentralized blockchains, all of crypto was running on centralized stablecoins. He then went and said, oh, look, everybody's following my trend. They're all trying to create their version of UST. He spoke about the USN, Near Protocol. He spoke about Thor.USD by Thorchain. Spoke about Frax Finance. He spoke about Silk at Shade Protocol. Spoke about USDN at Waves. And he said, look, they're all going down this trend. And he actually, in fairness to him, says we need to embrace this trend of decentralized money. But I think there's something more here. I think there's something more here in that Terra is trying to build a deeper relationship with Avalanche. They're both very similar projects in terms of size, but they both do completely different things, right? Terra doesn't have an innate smart contracts platform. There's no, you can't, it's not the same as Phantom. If Terra was to bring to Avalanche, because notice, Avalanche doesn't have theirs, right? If they can bring UST to Avalanche, which he's already mentioned, and Avalanche can bring the smart contracts platforms to Terra, maybe we could have a merger on our hands. Maybe there's a deeper partnership. And this is just me kind of, blue skies thinking. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's just how my brain's trying to piece this together, because otherwise, why would he have backed Terra Luna with Avalanche tokens? Maybe he's doing it as part of a testing of the waters to see if there's a deeper partnership between Terra and Avalanche. And my question would be, if you're going to go and merge with someone, why wouldn't you merge with Phantom? For the value of money you're going to get if you're going to merge or acquire Phantom, like, it's a no-brainer. Avalanche has got a decent valuation, right? If you look at the total value locked, I remember we showed this in the video yesterday. We used the fully diluted metrics. But just if we were to look at here, Avalanche is commanding a 2 times market cap to its total value locked. Phantom is at 0.5. Interesting. So we got all of that going on. Now, in terms of the Luna price, now is a beautiful time to be picking up, right? Any of you guys who were FOMOing, who wanted to buy in, that is exactly how you do it. We've done this together over the last couple of days and shown you how to buy the dip, because we hear it a lot. But what does it mean to buy the dip? This is what it means. Wanted to buy at 119, but you held your emotion, you wrote it on a post-it note, I am not buying till we come and test the momentum line, because there's always a pullback, and I'm going to wait for the pullback. And what did it do? It came back, and it gave you an even better price than what we predicted, which was 100. You've got 98 right now. So now the question is, are you buying? Do you have conviction? And if you do, then you'll be buying. If you don't, then you don't. Now, just to wrap things up, what are we seeing here on Luna on the weekly chart is a nice trend here, okay? Perfect room. But the obvious thing here from a technical point of view is, can we see a massive correction to the downside? Is it ever going to come down and collect some support from its EMA ribbon? Or is it going to consolidate for maybe 1 or 2 weeks before then starting to run up? This is what we want to monitor from a longer term basis, because right now, this is super overheated, right? It's super well bought. And you can see how the RSI was heading into the overbought category before this red week, which we've just seen this week for Luna. So interesting. Avalanche is moving up on the news today, as you'd expect, even though the market was pretty down. You can see it went as high today intraday as 98 before falling now back to 88, as the market is not too happy right now. Everything's looking at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's looking at the wider market and going, wider market, what are you doing? But the wider market is looking at Jerome Powell and the Fed rates and saying, what if he shrinks the balance sheet too far? So it doesn't matter what announcement was made at Bitcoin Miami. By the way, the Jack Mallers announcement was huge. I'm going to link that up at the end of this video. Make sure you go watch that, guys. Huge announcement for crypto. Yes, the price hasn't reflected it, but who cares? These are the things we want to hear. We want to hear more countries adopting crypto. We want to hear more use cases of Bitcoin. We want to see good progression with the Lightning Network. No issues with that. That's all going to help the case of crypto longer term. Short term, maybe not. But longer term, that's where we're in it for. Guys, as always, if you like this blend between technicals and fundamentals, make sure you smash up the likes and subscribe if you appreciate my perspective and you want to learn some more. Consider joining our course member live streams, ijaz.uk/member. Look forward to seeing you over there. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.